to Ned is the latest original series to hit the Disney Plus streaming service and is produced by the terrific Jim Henson Company. Before we get into this, don't forget to hit that like button. It does wonders in getting my content out there, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up to date with all my future content. I'd also like to know from you, what are your thoughts on Disney Plus's Earth to Ned? If you've seen it, or if you haven't seen it just yet, how are you feeling going into the show? Follow with all those down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Earth to Ned is a muppified take on the late-night talk show formula, hosted by fast-talking Ned and Cornelius, two aliens who call off their planned invasion of Earth after they fall deeply in love with human culture and celebrities. This is the second Muppet series to hit the Disney Plus streaming service in only a couple of months, and if you'd seen my previous review of Muppets Now, you know that I really wasn't a big fan of that. I'm a big Muppets fan, I have been for my entire life. I grew up with the Muppets, I grew up with the Muppet Babies, I grew up with Bear in the Big Blue House, all those kinds of shows. And I just have a deep love for the creations of the Jim Henson Company. So going into this Earth to Ned, I had a little bit of trepidation. I mean, I was excited for a new Jim Henson series, but coming off the back of Muppets Now, which I just didn't think worked one little bit, I was a little bit hesitant. I was expecting this to be another absolute dud. My review, I should say, is based off about 5 episodes of the series. Disney sent me over 5 episodes for the purpose of this review. It was episode 1 to 4 and then episode 10, I think. So those middle ones I'm kind of missing from this. But this isn't a series that you'd even really need to watch in order. This show is irreverent, it's witty, it's zany. The humor is absolute first class. This is that crazy, screwball, zany comedy that you expect from the Muppets or from Jim Henson Company creations. This is, I would have to say, this is like everything that the Muppets Now wanted to be and just couldn't succeed. This, of course, takes the format of a late-night talk show. It's a big spoof on it. So many times in the past, shows like this have been done where it is a spoof of a late-night talk show and it's hosted by a cartoon character or a puppet or something like that. It doesn't always work, but I feel it really, really works here in Earth to Ned. Muppets Now tried to do this in some respects as well. It really positioned itself as like a talk show for the modern age, kind of presenting itself as a YouTube kind of talk show sort of thing, and that just didn't work for me. The modern spin on the characters just really, for me, was not something that I really found all that appealing. Earth to Ned, though, I feel like because these are new characters, and these characters are really enjoyable, just fantastic, really funny, wacky, screwball, classic Muppet characters. I feel like because they have these new characters, maybe the Jim Henson Company just feels like they can actually experiment a little bit more with these characters, or maybe Disney has actually allowed them to have more experimentation and do something that is a little bit more raw than the Muppets Now. I mean, with the Muppets, you have these characters who are so classic and they're so iconic and so beloved by so many people. There's only so much you can actually do with those characters before people start to go, that's not the character that we know and love. This series, Earth to Ned, really strips back to the basics of what that original Muppet show was. In some respects, I guess maybe a little bit dark humor, mature humor, something that the kids could enjoy because of the crazy characters and stuff, but the adults really got to connect with because of that really witty and clever humor. And I think Earth to Ned really ticks all of these boxes absolutely perfectly. And as I said, the original Muppet show, it had elements for everybody, and I feel like Earth to Ned really does as well. It has these great characters, really colourful characters, wacky characters that kids are just going to absolutely love, but the humor in this is first class, and it's very, very clever. It is over the top humor, it is very silly humor, but it's also very clever as well, and I think this is something that children and adults, audiences of all ages, are really going to connect to and really going to enjoy. I personally really loved it. I thought it was fantastic. All that said, this could even be quite possibly the most Muppets thing we've ever seen since that original Muppet show. Because every single iteration of the Muppets that have come after it, I feel like has been watered down just a little bit, They almost got there with those Muppet movies just a few years ago, but then they just restrained themselves back again in the projects that they've done since then. But it's a good show. I really enjoyed it. The guest stars that they get in this show are fantastic as well. One of the episodes in particular is a Star Wars themed episode. Billy D. Williams is on there. BB-8 even makes an appearance, and I think it's so much fun. I can't tell if the celebrity interviews are scripted or improvised, or maybe a little bit of a mix of both. Some of the interviews do feel like they're scripted a bit, but some of them do feel like a little bit more relaxed. So they had Billy D. Williams, of course, Lando Calrissian from the original Star Wars films, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. He's on it. His interview feels very relaxed and very cool. But then you've got some more comedic stars that come on the show as well, like Kristen Schaal and Gillian Jacobs and Andy Richter, and those almost feel like they are kind of scripted. I think that's not really a bad thing. I like the balance of the both, where it does feel very loose, it does feel very fluid, which is what those original Muppet shows really do feel like, especially when they had those interactions with the guest stars. That all felt very fluid and you know, very improvised. But I also feel like the more scripted parts of it do add like a narrative thread, and they do add like more of a focus and a formula to the series itself. And it is a really well-paced show. Each episode has 2 guest stars, and sandwiched in between is like a little comedy sketch segment which features Cornelius, who is the co-host of the show, going up to Earth and interacting with humans and finding out about things that he has found fascinating about humanity. So whether that's just general human culture or like comedy or social media, things like that, sports, all that, and he learns a little bit about it. So it was almost kind of like a bit of an educational element to the show as well, which is what the Jim Henson Company really does excel with in some of these programs. And I feel like it adds like this almost human element to it as well, that makes this show very beneficial to children who might be watching the show. They're not just watching silly characters being, you know, crazy and wacky and muppety, but I think they're actually going to pull away something from this show. Meanwhile, the adults will be able to sit back and just really bask in this just crazy, zany, very clever humor. As I said, this is a show that is for absolutely everybody, and I really enjoyed it. It just ticked all the boxes for me for what I wanted from a Muppet show and a Jim Henson program. At that, I'll be giving Earth to Ned a 3.5 out of 5. Earth to Ned is an incredibly clever and irreverent late-night talk show spoof with something for audiences of all ages. It's as hilarious as it is heartwarming and is everything Muppets Now wanted to be and so much more. And at that, it's over to you out there. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the Jim Henson Company's Earth to Ned for Disney+. Did you love it, or did you think it was just a little bit iffy? Kind of like maybe how I thought about the Muppets Now. Or if you haven't seen it yet, what are your thoughts going into the show? Will you be watching this one, or will you be giving it a pass? Fire away with all those thoughts down in the comments below and let me know. Until next time, guys, continue to stay safe, continue to take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Take care. If this is your first time viewing one of my videos and you'd like to see more like it in the future, then please don't forget to hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen, as well as that like button down below for that little extra support. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.